which everyone who wants peace should do is 3 steps. Step 1, define the goal. The goal is to reach peace by means of 2 states when one of these states is clearly the Jewish state. That means that Palestinians are not refugees and that they have no right to settle inside the sovereign territory of Israel in the name of return. The Arabs of the Levant in the West Bank and Gaza will achieve sovereignty, either in their own state or under another Arab state. They will achieve that sovereignty only when they accept that the Jews have legitimate and equal sovereignty in part of the land, not a minute before. That's the goal. And the goal should be there as permanent, always the North Star. Step 2, remove all the organizations, finances that support the Palestinian vision of no Jewish state. Furthermost, UNRWA. Defund UNRWA because UNRWA keeps alive for Palestinians the idea that there one day will not be a Jewish state and that they don't need to compromise with it and accept partition because one day they will have it all, from the river to the sea. It needs to be defunded. Any organization, any Palestinian organization, from the Palestinian Authority to a small think tank, needs to be asked a simple question. Do you recognize the equal right of the Jewish people, as a nation, not a religion, to self-determination in their historic homeland? And do you understand that this means that you are not refugees when you live in the West Bank and Gaza? You're not refugees from Palestine. You do not possess a right to settle inside Israel in the name of return. Do you understand that? Only Palestinian organizations that say a resounding yes to that question should receive any money. Anything else must be completely defunded. So basically, remove funding, remove political support from anything that even implicitly continues to fuel and fund the Palestinian vision that the Jewish state is temporary and all they need to do is wait it out. Step 3, support those Palestinians who actually have a vision of living in peace next to the Jewish state of Israel, who do not demand return, who do not consider themselves refugees. Support them. I have to say, over 20 years, I've only met such 4 people who are clearly saying this. We're not refugees. There will be no return. We want to live next to the Jewish state of Israel, not instead of it, not from the river to the sea. The Jewish people have a historical claim. They have the right to self-determination. Those 4 people need to be supported. And only those who say things clearly. During the negotiations during the 90s, there was this idea of constructive ambiguity. Let's fudge the issues. Let's get the Israelis and Palestinians to sign an agreement. We won't say much, but this will build trust, and then we'll deal with the difficult issues. We now have enough of perspective to know that this was a disaster. So I've developed the idea of constructive specificity. Let's be very, very clear. And the specificity needs to include a recognition of the equal right of the Jewish people as a people to self-determination in their historic homeland. And it needs to include the specific implications that Palestinians living in the West Bank and Gaza are not refugees from Palestine, and that no Palestinian possesses a right to settle inside the sovereign state of Israel in the name of this idea of return. This is how specific we need to be, and only those Palestinians that have those ideas need to be supported, to the extent that we can bring Arab countries like the Emirates, who have normalized relations with Israel, who have an Abrahamic vision, where they look at the Jewish people as belonging here rather than foreign white settler colonialists. They can be brought in to help the transformation of the Palestinians away from a people who for a century devoted themselves for the destructive cause of no Jewish state, finally to a people who have a constructive vision of living next to the Jewish state. Maybe I'll say one more thing on this. As I've been talking over the years about peace, and I continue to consider myself a woman of peace. I call myself a long-term peace activist. I would tell a lot of Europeans, especially those funding UNRWA, there's a difference in foreign policy between feeling good and doing good. A lot of people just want to feel good. You want to give money to Palestinian organizations. You think that's makes you feel good. That doesn't do any good. It actually continues to fuel and sustain the conflict and push peace away. Doing good actually requires doing things that don't feel good. Like telling Palestinians that the war against the Jewish state must be over, that they need to develop a constructive vision of living next to the Jewish state rather than the destructive vision they had for a century, that there will be no return, that they are now refugees. Now, that's tough things. They don't feel good. I know that I myself, when I say those things, it's not pleasant to appear like someone who says harsh things. Defund UNRWA sounds harsh. But those are the things that will actually do good and bring us closer to peace than all of the things that have been done for decades that supposedly feel good, but for which ultimately Jews and Arabs, Israelis and Palestinians are paying for in blood as a result of the conflict that continues to be fueled.